high 50s. I am somewhere between Jordan Love and Tua on the quarterback salary comfort ranking. I think Dak is more physically dependable and has a history of winning more than Tua. I also think he throws a better deep ball, and I think Dak has shown the ability to go on the road and win games in cold weather. But I think when you sign Dak to $57 million a year, it's not a disastrous contract, even potentially, but it's a limiting one. If you go look at Dak Prescott, and remember, at $58 million, Dallas is already wedged up against the cap, and they're also going to pay CeeDee Lamb in the next 2 weeks. So they didn't make any free agent moves this year. They're not making any next year. So it makes you more Dak reliant. Well, we have all these years of seeing Dak when he throws the ball 40 times or more. He is 8-16. Jordan Love, to this point in his career, has only had to do that 4 times, and he's 2-2. And it should be duly noted, he, unlike Dak, is an ascending player. He, unlike Dak, has a bevy of wide receiver and tight end talent. Dak doesn't. It's CeeDee Lamb centric. So again, I feel Dak needs a lot to win games. I don't feel Jordan Love needs as much, and I trust his coach, his O-line, his organization, the current Packer momentum more than I trust Dak. But I would feel more comfortable paying Dak than Tua. So Jordan, I'm totally comfortable with. Dak, I can deal with it, but you better hit on 8 draft picks next year and the year after. And Tua, I wouldn't sign that check. That's where I am today. I wouldn't say. Here was Jerry Jones this week on Dak's future.
I do not think that this will be his last year with the Cowboys at all. I mean, it's pretty clear, I think. I want to say it if it hadn't been clear, of how much we appreciate what Dak Prescott has meant to this team in a positive way. But believe it or not, in my life, I've had a lot of things I wanted that I couldn't get because I couldn't afford it. Now, have I learned to live with that in 80-something years? You bet I have, and life does go on.
But they're going to pay Dak. So I don't think it's a disaster, but I think it's limiting. We have data to prove it's limiting, and so you just have to, like I said before, when I put up the 16 highest paid quarterbacks, there's only 3 of these deals I don't want any part of. Tua would scare me to death. Deshaun Watson, I don't want any part of Deshaun Watson for a lot of reasons. And Daniel Jones is a bad contract. So now all of these in a year will seem smaller because the cap went up like $14 million per team. The TV revenue is exploding. The gambling revenue is exploding. So most of these I can stomach. Even Dak's I can stomach. You just have to really draft well the next 2 years. Dallas has to accumulate picks in moving players or trades, whoever that is. You can't trade CeeDee Lamb. Forget about it. Micah you could consider, but they shouldn't. But if you can accumulate picks and hit on a lot of them, that's the way to kind of get your way around overpaying for a quarterback. That's what really hurt New England. They just couldn't draft for 6 years. Colin right, Colin wrong. Plus Chris Paul live next. Some 70s baseball. Go watch that HBO Max story, Charlie Hustle. I just finished it. It's so good. And the first episode, for anybody over 55 years old, it is, you're going back to 1970s baseball when we actually watched baseball and talked about it. It's so good. And by the way, Johnny Bench and Pete Rose couldn't stand each other. I didn't know that. You know, there wasn't, back then you didn't hear stuff like that, but Bench and Rose just do not get along to this day. So, and Bench was my favorite player, and Pete Rose was my second favorite player, and who knew? I want to go back to something we said earlier, and we were talking about Russell Wilson and Justin Fields, and I think this is a really tough schedule, especially Week 11 on for the Steelers, and I think Justin Fields is going to play more than people think. There is this sense, and I do believe Russell Wilson right now today is a better quarterback in the NFL than Justin Fields, especially fourth quarter I think, but they both have limitations. Russell, size, he is aged. He's not as nimble and as twitchy, and he's always struggled throwing the ball between the hash marks. He didn't see the field particularly well. For Justin Fields, he's not always accurate. He struggled to stay healthy. But it's interesting, if you go back to the last 2 seasons of both, and Eberflus, so Justin Fields had a bad O-line for both of them. Well, his line wasn't great for many of his years, but he had a defensive coach. Russell Wilson had an offensive coach in both years, and their numbers are shockingly similar. So Russell won a little bit more and was a little bit more accurate, but both threw too many picks. Both didn't average much per game. Both didn't win much. So when I say I think this is going to be more competitive than people think, I think Russell's a bit of an odd fit with the personality of Mike Tomlin and the culture. I think Russell would win you more games than Justin Fields. I absolutely believe that. But remember, you go on a 2-game losing streak, and Tomlin got criticized for being overly loyal to Kenny Pickett. So he may not be quite as loyal to Russell Wilson. And again, Justin's going to be able to show off at practice. Bigger, stronger, faster, more athletic, younger, more relatable to a lot of the young teammates. So keep your eye on it. My point being is they are statistically the last 2 years, and Russell had 2 different offensive head coaches. Their numbers are very similar. So there's been a lot of talk today on our show about Jordan Love's contract. So my take is, Tua, I wouldn't sign that check. Jordan Love, I got no problem with it. So I'm not a sports historian or a sports romantic, okay? Just who's better now, I'm good with that. I think of myself as if I ever didn't do this and I could be a sports executive, what I would never want to be is trapped. I would rather be bad than trapped. I can get out of bad by drafting better. You can't get out of trapped. So signing these big quarterback contracts, they come with some anxiety. But if you go to the last 10 games that Jordan Love played last year, go look at his numbers. They're fantastic. And that's with the youngest offense in the league. 70% completion percentage, 23 touchdowns, 3 picks, passer rating first in the league at 112. Now, go to Aaron Rodgers' last 10 starts, including one of them for only a few snaps. Folks, it's not close. He is a B to a B-minus quarterback, and now he's coming off of surgery. So he completes 62% of his throws. His ceiling, much lower, almost 3 times the picks of Love, passer rating much lower. And remember, Jordan Love is younger, faster, healthier, and more athletic. So my take is, today, I'm not a sports romantic. Jordan's better than Aaron today. And Jordan has an offensive coach and returns a better offensive line and has a better group, a deeper group of tight end and wide receiver talent. So when you're saying, why are you so comfortable? He is better than Aaron Rodgers. So if you're comfortable paying Aaron $40 million a year at 40 years old with a defensive coach in an intense media market, impulsive ownership, then if you don't have a problem with that, you got a problem paying $15 million more for a better roster, potentially, especially on offense? I don't. Here's Jordan about the contract.
Being a first-round pick, there's pressure. Becoming the starter, there's pressure, but there's always pressure. And I think that's, part of the job that, we sign up for. But there's always pressure. There's no hiding that. But I don't think this, I've been in some pretty pressure situations, so I think there's always going to be that. But just find a way to navigate through this and handle it as best I can.
Okay, another thing, not a cheap shot. He's also more focused. I don't have a lot of missed OTAs because he was in Egypt stories with Jordan Love. He's also an ascending player. We haven't seen the best of Jordan Love. We have seen the best of Aaron. That doesn't mean he's bad now, but we've seen the best. And we've seen players age quickly. Russell Wilson age quickly. So, again, I'm very comfortable for about 8 different reasons. I'm comfortable with a Jordan Love contract. So Dak Prescott now. Now, Dak Prescott, Tua just got paid. Jordan Love got paid. And Dak's going to get paid. My guess is it's in the mid to high 50s. I am somewhere between Jordan Love and Tua on the quarterback salary comfort ranking. I think Dak is more physically dependable and has a history of winning more than Tua. I also think he throws a better deep ball, and I think Dak has shown the ability to go on the road and win games in cold weather. But I think when you sign Dak to $57 million